Which one?
Brand is taking up my whole television screen.
Hey, Cliffy.
Cliff, good to see you.
Okay, Chris, I'm ready to go, but if it's anything like the intro, I'm not holding out much hope, but we'll do our best with it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, John, first of all, for organizing this, our second annual New Year's Day levee. I guess one could say that this is one of the blessings that has come out of this infernal, eternal pandemic, that we're getting together much more frequently in virtual space than we ever did before. Because, you know, it was usually every 5 years when 75 to 90 of us would show up at RMC, and then we would hope to get back 5 years later. So good on you, John, for initiating this series of monthly Zoom calls, and in particular now for our New Year's Day levee. Bienvenue à tout le monde. C'est un grand plaisir de vous accueillir ici ce matin, cet après-midi, ce soir, n'importe où on se trouve maintenant. Today we have a bit of a program laid out for us all, but we will certainly have time available for informal chit chat and socializing. And could everybody please ensure you're on mute so that we don't get echo? Everybody please mute their microphones. That said, when we get into the toast, and we have several, the toaster will present the toast, and then you're all welcome to unmute briefly and respond to the toast just as you would in real life, and then mute yourself again after that. So I will start avec un toast à la reine du Canada, notre commandant en chef. It's safe to say that the monarchy is enduring some precarious times, and there are people, members of the British Commonwealth, who are great fans of Queen Elizabeth, and there are some, well, let's just say not so much. But whether you are a monarchist or at the other end of the spectrum, or somewhere in between, nonetheless, Queen Elizabeth is the Queen of Canada, and she is the commander-in-chief of the Canadian forces, and thus commands and is entitled to our respect. Donc, c'est mon plaisir de commencer notre programme aujourd'hui avec un toast à la reine du Canada, to Queen Elizabeth, our commander-in-chief. Ladies and gentlemen, to the Queen.
The Queen.
To the Queen, God bless her.
Waters.
To the Queen.
To the Queen.
Ah, that was good. I was waiting for that shot of rum. All good. Next on our program, a toast to Canada, and to offer the toast, we are privileged to have Russ Crum with us this morning. We all know Russ from our days at RMC as an athlete extraordinaire, well known for his academic brilliance, and now, more recently, a lawyer. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Russ. over to you, Russ, to offer the toast
Well,
to Canada.
thanks for that great introduction. You know, it's that those 99% of bad lawyers that make the 1% of us good ones look bad. You can all hear me? I assume.
Good,
So, Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, a special warm thank you to John Hills, as Chris mentioned, for organizing this. Thank you so much, John, and look forward to seeing you soon. I bring you greetings from the land to the south, where Canadians congregate annually to avoid the ice and snow. They brag made them who they are. We, the North, have our peculiarities, mostly borrowed and made our own. We are not so much a mosaic as a messy stew. A large part of Aboriginal, seasoned with beaucoup de culture canadien-français, with everything else stirred in. The result, an undefinable forward-looking joie de vivre, united with a Timbit in one hand and Poutine in the other. You can't buy happiness, but you can live in Canada. And that is pretty much the same thing. Today, while our American friends sit in their respective political bunkers, which I'm experiencing firsthand and learning to keep my mouth shut, which is very difficult, Cliff Squires will attest to that. We get levied together today to embrace the coming year. We actually like each other, regardless of what each of us believes, which is an unusual trait down here. John Diefenbaker, in his ponderous way, I think said it best about us. He says, I am Canadian. I'm free to speak without fear, free to worship in my own way, free to stand for what I think is right, free to oppose what I believe is wrong, free to choose who shall govern my country. This heritage of freedom, I pledge to uphold for myself and all my fellow Canadians. So here's a toast to Canada. To Canada.
To Canada.
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 Well said.
Canada.
And,
Russ.
and on that note, to my good friend Grant Bristow, who, like me, traveled from British Columbia by train in 1965 to come into this, what was then a foreign country, Quebec, and enjoy 3 glorious years at Collège Militaire, and to have the privilege of learning French language and culture. An extraordinary guy, great pilot, transplanted British Columbia to the Maritimes. Grant, over to you.
Thank you, Russ. That was a great introduction. You can see me, I presume. There you go. So I have the pleasure to present the toast here. Bonjour mes collègues, mes amis, mes chums. C'est mon plaisir vous présenter le rôti aux Forces armées canadiennes et aux anciens. First of all, I'd like to thank Sherm for reaching out and asking me to do the honors this year. He was so smooth that I barely felt the shaft. As an aside, Sherm and I have more in common than a train ride from Vancouver to Montreal with Russ and Bob Nowitzki on our way to CMR back in '65. My father was a freshly trained signalman in the Navy during World War II and was on board SS Narissa, traveling to Liverpool. As it turns out, Sherm's uncle, a doctor in the Army, was on the Narissa as well. Unfortunately, the Narissa was torpedoed by U-boat 552 and sunk in the middle of the night west of Ireland on the 21st of April, 1941. 207 souls were lost, including Sherm's uncle. My dad somehow managed to survive 10 hours before being rescued. The reality of warfare can be very cruel and painful for those who lose loved ones. Speaking of survival, amazingly enough, we all survived the best hazing that money could buy. And in a world of no females and no media, we formed our amazing lifelong bonds. I think we were lucky in a way. Life was hard, but simpler then. Our collective shared experiences as we went through the crucible of Rhodes and CMR and RMC and our subsequent military careers gives us a very personal and visceral connection with the Canadian Armed Forces and the reality of military life. With that, a few words about the amazing array of activities and challenges that our current armed forces are being called on to meet. I'd like to acknowledge the recent return to Halifax of HMCS Harry DeWolf, our first Arctic offshore patrol ship. She is back from her symbolic circumnavigation of North and Central America and is a welcome addition to our Arctic sovereignty capability. Additionally, we welcomed home HMCS Fredericton from a 5-month NATO deployment in the Atlantic and the Mediterranean as part of Op Reassurance. And HMCS Winnipeg returned to Victoria recently after a 4-month deployment across the Pacific on Op Neon and Op Projection. These are the latest deployments of our Navy's ships and embarked Cyclone helicopters to virtually all oceans of the world to work and train with our allies. Our ongoing CF-18 deployment to Romania and our Army Battalion to Latvia as part of Op Reassurance also demonstrates our commitment to our allies to help deter potential Russian aggression in Eastern Europe. We hope that deterrence will lead to a peaceful resolution of current tensions. Other activities include anti-drug operations in the Caribbean and the Indian Ocean, and numerous training and liaison missions in Africa and the Middle East, to name a few. For a small military, we're doing our bit on the international stage. Closer to home, our CF-18 squadrons in Bagotville and Cold Lake provide round-the-clock air intercept and air defense along with our radar and ground support to NORAD. Other important missions include CP-140 Aurora and naval ships doing patrols in support of DFO and illegal fishing, plus logistically CF-17s and C-130s resupply CFS Alert. More recently, our forces have been called on many times to provide support to a wide variety of tasks within Canada, whether it's going into long-term care facilities to support staff when overwhelmed by the COVID pandemic, or flying in and setting up and operating a water treatment plant for water emergency in Iqaluit, or it's providing airborne surveillance and search and rescue and rapid response to the disaster floods in British Columbia, and then following up with boots on the ground to help the weary citizens of the Chilliwack area with sandbagging duties to reinforce dikes and protect infrastructure and homes, to name just a few. When in trouble and you need a helping hand, who are you going to call? Our amazing, highly professional Canadian Armed Forces. Our forces are not without their challenges. Delayed acquisition issues like the fighter replacement program, ever-evolving technology with its integration, training, and support requirements, logistics support to our worldwide operations, personnel retention issues, politics, political correctness issues, COVID, cultural changes, and the media's quest for any salacious news items. Through these commitments and challenges, our Canadian Armed Forces continue to meet the high standard and professionalism that it's renowned for. We owe the dedicated personnel of our military our support for always being there for us. I would like to now take a moment to acknowledge our veterans. Like us, they have dedicated their service to our country, whether in major conflicts or smaller missions at home or abroad. They have met the challenges of their time in service. To those who have crossed the bar and to those who are still with us, particularly those suffering from PTSD, we truly thank you for your service. At this time, I would like you to raise a glass of your beverage of choice and join me in a toast to the Canadian Armed Forces and our veterans.
Canadian Armed Forces
Canadian
and
Armed
our
Forces.
veterans.
Forces
Armed
armées
Forces and
canadiennes.
our veterans.
Armées canadiennes et aux vétérans.
It's now. It's now my honor to introduce Derwin and Bill Brewer and Randy Ewan, where we will engage in part of the ceremonies where we recall and honor those of our classmates who are no longer with us.
Hey, Derwin, do you want me to start since I have the first name on the list?
Affirmative.
Okay,
Just
perfect.
hang on a second, can you guys? I gotta find the missing person here. Where are you, Bill Brewer?
I'm here.
Give me a minute.
Yeah, I'm hard to find.
Never, Bill, never.
Never.
Bill, you were just hard to catch.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, if we could have done something with Larry Smith, we would have had a great year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
As we
true.
all know. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. All right. So we good, John? I guess so. All right. You know what, gentlemen, at the outset, on behalf of Derwin and Randy, I'm just going to say a couple of things. First of all, it's a pleasure for me to be speaking on behalf specifically of my CMR confrères today. But I need to say that it's always been amazing to me the way that melting pot of RMC, CMR, and Rhodes came together into that incredible class of 70. And you know what? We were a special class. And there's a number of reasons for that, which I won't go into, but we were a special class and we still are. Maintenant, c'est un vrai honneur de lire les noms de nos compagnons de classe qui sont décédés. And before I get into the first name, I'm going to just offer a short toast. Last year, Bear Brown basically used a naval toast of the day, which I thought was absolutely incredible. I'm going to put an army spin on this one and simply say, we knew them, we'll remember them, and they will not be forgotten. To our classmates who are not here with us today.
We will remember.
Class. We'll remember.
We will remember them.
À leur mémoire.
So, premièrement, the first name, 8220 Alain Benyoche.
8385 Bill Bentley.
8482 Pat Bitts.
8391 Larry Cade. 8020 Terry Cade.
8247 David Cogden. 8264 Normand Doré. 8278 Mario Genteletti.
8511 Walter Wally Hulchuk.
8284 John Hall. This is incredible, thinking through these names as we go through them. 8285 Rob Hall.
8516 Bill Herod.
8204 Pierre Jobin. 98 Charles Mo Krause.
Oh,
8536 Joe Lang. 8542 Pete Ludorf. 8544 John A. McDonald.
8438 Gary Manchester. 8439 M cubed Myron Murray Marsh, aka Sonny Marsh.
8325 Lauren McCartney.
8057, Ross McKenzie.
Our honorary class member, Danny McLeod, and who can forget Danny McLeod? For the many years he spent in athletics at RMC, he always exuded what I would like to think was the camaraderie and esprit that made him a perfect fit for the class of 70. Danny McLeod.
8556, Gary Mueller.
8334, Keith Murray.
8562, Philip, we all knew him as Pat Patterson.
8355, Robert Ross, Bob Ross.
8462, Robin Ross.
8368, Larry Travis. 8375, John Verlinden. 8376, Jean Villecourt.
8473, Alan Walker.
7974, Rick Ward.
8601, Jim Webster. 8603, Eric Wittes. And that brings us, fortunately, this year to the end of those that have predeceased us.
We will remember them.
We will remember them.
Remember them.
We'll remember.
Remember.
Yeah.
We will definitely remember.
Your beds.
Unmute, Chris.
All right, I knew it would happen at least once during the call. Let's take a moment of silence now to honor and reflect on these fallen comrades, our buds. May they rest in peace. To our fallen comrades,
Comrades.
Fallen comrades.
thank you, merci beaucoup, Randy, Bill, and Derwin for paying tribute to these 34 gentlemen who have gone to their great reward. As the caption read at the bottom of the list of our comrades, gone too soon, absolutely way too soon. I think of Norman Doré, who was killed during Engineer Phase 4 training in Chilcotin in the interior of BC. I was part of that group at the time, and along with the likes of Doug Foreman and Mike Topley, Dave Zock, Mike Kreptic, and a number of Bill Morton. And Noma had only just graduated, and within 2 months he was gone. There's no good time to go. but we all will sooner or later. And now I am conscious of the fact that this is getting a bit more somber, because I think our fallen comrades would want us to remember them, carry on, and enjoy the good times, enjoy what we've got, because we don't know. Have we got another day or another 10 years, or who knows? We don't know. So make the most of it. And what I would like you to do now is make the most of a break. Il y a maintenant une pause pour relaxer un peu, prendre un autre breuvage, or given our age and stage in life, since we've been at this for over half an hour, many of you will need a bio break. So we'll come back at precisely 20 to the hour, okay, 10 minutes from now. And if you want to stay around and chat, and you don't need the bio break or the drink break, just unmute yourselves and let's continue the conversation.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Our next three toasts are a bit more celebratory as opposed to formal. The first toast is going to be a toast to family, and then we're going to have a toast to our beloved class. And then Cliff is going to finish off with some reflections and some outlooks in poetic form, as our class poet laureate only can do. The first part of this is toast to the family. If any of you looked at the program, you will note that there was nobody set aside to do this. I casted it about, threw out a few invitations, got a few declines, but then had a revelation. Why not bring in a team to do this? Which I've done. So we have a team that's going to do this presentation and this toast to family. I'm calling it Team Family. It's not the junior varsity team, but it is a junior team. You'll see that when the time comes, if it comes. I'm sweating bullets here because this is going to be the second of the videos that I'm going to put up. The first of which was a total failure because it had no audio. So I'll do better this time. I hope I'll do better this time, but please bear with me. These team members couldn't be here today because they're busy folks, but we managed to record their toast, and I have the recording and it's really good, and I hope you can have it too. I'll do my best. So as I say, bear with me.
Well. Oh.
Thank you, Papa.
We heard a beep.
And Papa John, as you're known to these ladies. We're very excited to be here today to give the toast to family. Excited because the three of us got to hang out and catch up while discussing this, but also excited because as working moms with 8 kids between us, we've never been more aware of the incredibly important role that family plays in our lives. My name is Jenna Hills. My dad is John Hills, who attended Royal Roads before moving to RMC. And with me today is Catherine Cade, whose dad, Larry Cade, who spent all 4 years at RMC, and also Deanna Cogden, whose dad, David Cogden, attended CMR before graduating with all of you at RMC. Traditionally, a toast to family like this one honors your partners, parents, siblings, and children who supported you through your years at RMC and throughout your subsequent career. But today we'd also like to raise a glass to friends who have become family on this journey you've all been on.
The three of us are a perfect example of how your friends become your family. Our dads met in university, our moms became friends, we spent our childhoods and now our adult lives feeling the love and support of each other's parents and many other members of the class of 70 and their spouses. When our dads were away for extended periods, our moms relied on other families within this class for help and support as they raised young families. A perfect example of this is John Hills being the stand-in at the hospital on the night that I was born because my dad was actually away at sea. Each time we were posted, we were reunited with different members of this extended family in different cities, which, as we grew up, often helped to make a new place feel just a little more like home.
Look around at the faces on this call today. Together, you've celebrated each other's career milestones, you've been to each other's weddings, you've celebrated babies being born, and you've grieved major losses together. The bonds you all created in university are unique and they extend beyond average friendships. It may not be by blood, but you are family. And even though the three of us are one generation removed, we have been extremely lucky to feel your bond throughout our lives. So today, let's lift our glasses and toast the partners, children, and parents and siblings who support and love us.
Let's also lift our glasses and toast the bonds that we have with each other and how our shared experiences and lifelong friendships have made us more like family than friends.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't lift our glasses and toast our dads, John Hills, Larry Cade, and David Cogden, who brought us all into this extended family. And for that, we couldn't be more grateful. To family.
Family.
To family.
Family. Family. Family.
Well done, ladies.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Your
That
family.
was awesome.
Great job,
Great.
John.
Yeah.
Wow.
John, that was terrific. That
The
was just,
world will continue to go on. Well, with those.
wow.
Well done, John.
That was brilliant, John.
That was brilliant, ladies.
Yeah, that's more like a germ. Brilliant ladies, you're right.
They are brilliant ladies.
Okay, now I'm going to pass it over to Serge Gaudreau. I hope I can find you, Serge. Just give me a minute while I do that. And Serge is going to look at our class. Hang on. Okay, there you go, Serge.
Thank you very much. First of all, John, your plan B was executed perfectly. It was a real sign of the family. What I'll be doing, and I hope you'll bear with me too, I have for about 8 minutes of a text that I went through in trying to cover our 5 years together. It's all about myself because I'm talking about my experiences, but I would like you to think of what you've been living through, your own experiences through those different steps that I will be going by, and it will cover it from 65 to 70. Here we go. 1965, au beau milieu de la Révolution tranquille au Québec. 180 recrues arrivent au CMR de Saint-Jean sur Richelieu en provenance du Canada entier, de Corner Brook, Terre-Neuve, à Victoria, Colombie-Britannique. À la fin de l'année préparatoire, il en restera 105. 1966. Similarly, a bunch of recruits enter Royal Road Military College and the Royal Military College in Kingston. I do not know how many survived the first year, but similarly to CMR, these recruits face discipline, sports, and hard studies. These two groups make the RMC class of 70, since most of them will graduate in May 1970. Alors, je vais faire un balayage rapide de mes 5 années de collège en m'écoutant visionner vos propres événements vécus au cours de ces étapes. I will talk about my experiences, but keep that as a background music and visualize your own experiences. Octobre 65, course à obstacles. On gelait de partout, mais on était fiers de la compléter. Summer 66, my first summer training at sea in an environment entirely anglophone. What a shock. Marc Garneau saved me a couple of times because he was bilingual and helped me to understand what the heck was going on. Septembre 66, une année plus de routine. On s'est adapté et en participant à des équipes représentatives, la vie était plus facile. For Royal Roads and RMC, obstacle race and adaptation. Été 67. C'est d'abord Expo 67, Terre des Hommes. Yvon de Blois et moi avons passé 5 jours complets, de l'ouverture à la fermeture, à sillonner ce nouveau monde plein de découvertes. Notre entraînement en mer sur les destroyers Capel et Columbia nous a fait naviguer jusqu'à Acapulco, Long Beach, and Hawaii. I remember having painted the barber pole of the HMCS Columbia in gray during our last night in Squamalt. The Admiral was not happy the next day, just before our departure for Quebec. We flew from Vancouver to Trenton and took the train from Trenton to Montreal. Since we left from Montreal, Reed Saint-Jean, to our summer training, the system brought us back to Montreal. That's it. Mais il était passé minuit et Marc Garneau et moi voulions nous rendre à Québec. La solution rapide était de faire du pouce. Et moi voulions de faire du pouce, high-checking. Nous avons abouti sur l'autoroute 20 à 2 heures du matin et fait du pouce, en uniforme et avec nos kit bags. Un médecin s'est arrêté et nous a conduits chez mes parents à Québec vers les 4h30 du matin. September 67, I was CFL of 60 recruits in Maisonneuve Squadron. À crier mes ordres sur le carré de parade, j'ai perdu la voix pendant 2 ou 3 jours. Our classmates from Royal Roads and RMC entered their second year back to the routine. Début mai 68. De mes 6 échecs à Noël, j'en avais 2 à la fin d'année. Ma reprise en stats, 76%, et celle en chimie, 50%. Que s'est-il passé? Chaque cas d'échec est étudié au collège en fin d'année par le conseil dans l'auditorium. Le docteur Leving, mon prof de chimie, savait que je n'aurais jamais besoin de chimie à l'avenir, car j'avais changé d'option pour la littérature française. Mes performances militaires et sportives aidant, j'étais fin prêt pour RMC. I found out some years later that a similar situation occurred to Roméo Dallaire. Our teachers knew us, were aware of our potential, and were ready to give us a second chance. Semaine de graduation 68 au CMR. J'avais un oncle des États-Unis. You know that uncle from the States, you know, that comes to Quebec to have fun. Il voulait assister à la graduation. Il a emprunté une caméra toute neuve d'un ami et est venu au bal de graduation avec mes parents. C'était merveilleux. Summer 68. Our third summer training in Halifax aboard minesweepers. I remember having C6 from Corner Brook to Halifax for at least a day and a half. I was not the only one, and crackers with peanut butters had not positive effect. I remember our sortie, a bunch of us, with Dave Cogden and his father aboard the Admiral barge, a 48-foot Chris Craft. Dave's father was Commodore at the and the guardian of the Admiral barge. We learned at the end of the summer that he was paying for the fuel. Septembre 68. First time on the RMC grounds. Pour nous du CMR, ce fut une nouvelle aventure dans un environnement très différent. On avait déjà nos amis du CMR, et comme j'étais dans l'équipe B de football, l'équipe représentative de hockey et l'équipe de gymnastique I-box, l'adaptation s'est bien faite. I remember being part of the tattoo at the Maple Leaf Garden in Toronto with the I-box team. I lost a slipper during the show. Été 69, été libre. J'étais prof de français à l'École des langues sur la base de Saint-Jean. J'ai rencontré Claire le 4 juin en soupant au mess des officiers. Elle était infirmière, avait joint les forces canadiennes et prenait son cours d'anglais. Il fut affecté à CFH Kingston. September 69. Our last year at RMC, I was CSTO of number 3 Squadron, Fort Alderman, and yes, I lost my voice for 2 or 3 days. J'étais en littérature française. 5 profs pour 2 étudiants. Hugues Lacombe et moi. Pretty good average, isn't it? 27 décembre 69. Claire et moi se marions à Rivière-du-Loup. Voyage de noces à Cove Haven en Pennsylvanie. Richard Legault a fait le même choix. C'était l'année où le commandant pouvait autoriser les mariages. May 70, le grand jour, la graduation, un bal magnifique avec mes parents et Claire enceinte de 2 mois. Reclassified 3 weeks before graduation from Mars to Education Officer, I was posted to NDHQAU in Ottawa. 2015, fin de semaine des retrouvailles au CMR Saint-Jean, les 11 et 12 septembre. Nous adhérons à la vieille brigade. 50 ans après notre entrée. Nous étions 23 anciens, la majorité avec leurs épouses. On s'est retrouvés comme si c'était hier. The chemistry of friendship and happiness flew over our hearts. It was a wonderful weekend. 2022, today. On est un groupe de 7 de notre classe de 70 à Québec, même, et communiquons entre nous à peu près tous les jours. Nous échangeons des journaux, parlons politique et même philosophie. Le groupe, Jean-Paul Beaulieu, Denis Mercier, André Vachon, André Fortin, Jean-Pierre Meillet, Claude Rochon et moi, et Yves Fauché de Montréal fait aussi partie du groupe. Thanks to John Ills and his monthly Zoom meeting, we keep in touch with you guys and learning more and more about your endeavors and success. This is the class of 70, a privileged bunch of human beings that went through a mid-60s together. Un toast à la classe 70, a toast to the class of 70.
Class of 70.
That's 70.
Well said.
To our
Class of 70.
Well done.
Thank you, Serge.
It's good to see you all.
Hey,
Claude. Claude.
I must go. You guys really look good. So have a great year.
You too.
Claude, where have you been? It's all to you.
Hey, where are you, Claude?
I'm in Kentville,
Wow.
South Ottawa.
John, should I introduce Cliff?
Yes, please, if you could. I'll try and find him.
Very quickly. Good. So Cliff Squires, class poet laureate. And I'm sure that you will be as good as of last year and even better, but you were excellent last year with your poem. So here's Cliff.
Cliff's poem.
Thank you, Serge.
Cliff's going to do a
Cliff,
poem.
Cliff, I'm not finding you. Just one second.
here.
Yeah, do you have two computers going as you like your phone and your computer as you've done in the past?
Yeah, that's the only way I can make it work.
Okay, well, I got to see. I found you on one, but I got to find the other one. Hang on. He's confusing me, guys.
You had them.
Cliff can do that.
Well, they're not going to see you.
Cliff, where are you? Talk to me.
We can use John's face.
There you are. Okay.
There you are.
All right.
Oh, here I am. Well, I must say, first of all, thanks again to John, but also I have to tell you that John put some parameters on this year, which I've never had before on anything I've ever written. So, you know, about 4 o'clock this morning, I was struggling with it. And I kind of thought, well, geez, you know, last year was pretty good. Maybe I'll just read that again and probably nobody will remember anyway. And oh, first of all, can everybody hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure can.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. So anyway, yeah, it's wonderful to see so many of you out there. I figure that not everybody really likes poetry, so people are probably dropping off like crazy. I know Pat Bunting is one of the few that does appreciate it, so I expect he'll stay on. I was sure happy to see some new faces on there. Jerry Walsh, I haven't seen since, I guess, graduation. And he had to look, I'm afraid he may disappear quickly because he had the look on his face that I often saw in Gen Sci class just before he fell asleep. So I think he may have gone by now. I'm not sure. But anyway, I threw a few words together. If I was going to put a title on this, I guess it would be called Time. I'll try here. Time is of the essence, is something we've all heard. Time waits for no one, this we know. Time is a timeless word. Sometimes times are really bad. Sometimes times are great. These many months of COVID time have sure been hard to take. Our lives have been so much constrained for such a long, long time. It sometimes seems we'll never get back to where kissing is no longer a crime. Yet in our hearts and in our minds, we know better times are coming soon. We made it through 2020 and now 21. The sun will shine on us in 2022. So each of us must spend our time with all of those we love. If not in person, then phone or Zoom can be your individual white dove. Yes, we must take the time we have and hold it to our breast. Each day well lived, while yet we live, puts paid to all the rest. The end.
Well said,
Hey,
Cliff.
Levee, you're gonna keep your job.
Yeah, it's been quite a year for a lot of us. I've had a few health issues, as some of you know. And one of the things I was thinking, John, I don't know if there's any easy way to do this, but certainly we have a lot of people that come on, and sometimes the same people are on all the time. And, you know, as you know, people like Russ Crum, we've heard enough from him for last a lifetime. But a lot of the other people we don't hear from at all. They sit there and don't say anything. And maybe that's what they want to do. But I think maybe sometimes, especially these annual things, would be kind of nice to go around the circuit and have everybody, you know, at least say where they're living or what they're doing or whatever. Anyway, just a thought.
And it's a good
Thank you
one.
very much.
I can spotlight somebody and actually put them right in the front of the stage. But probably a better thing is to have people volunteer if they wanted to say something, and I can do it then. So why don't we try it right now?
I get a quick thing if I can jump in, John. As the three wonderful young daughters of classmates were speaking, my son, who is serving as a major, and he's over in Kuwait for 6 months, and he's back on a 2-week break. So it was kind of almost a coincidence, but he knocked at the door because he's visiting, but he's off to Toronto. And I had a few minutes with my son just before those three girls, young women, spoke. And I got to say, it brought tears to my eyes, the symmetry of having my son pop his head in. And he was recently widowed a year ago, and he now has a new girlfriend, and his new girlfriend was with him. And so I got to say, that was quite a coincidence, quite an emotional moment. And certainly glad that I saw my son briefly before he goes to Toronto. We saw him yesterday for a few hours, and that's very touching. And that's all adds on to this Zoom and the benefits of this Zoom psychologically. I find having Zoom calls with the classmates and with ex-military guys that I've served with, and going golfing, that's the kind of thing that's got me through the last 2 years. So I really do appreciate it. And it's great to see Jerry. And now I've heard private chat, he's in Calgary. So now I know where he is. I worked for Jerry about 10 years ago on a few projects, and it was a true pleasure. And last of all, Larry Cade, I love the guy. And gee whiz, what a treat to see his daughter and hear. And that really brought a tear to my eye, thinking back to the wonderful times with my dear Civ Eng classmate, Larry. Thanks, bud.